Stephen Miller says a massive scandal has been uncovered in DC Police Department with doctoring crime stats as whistleblower emerges. We have all this and many more stories for you today on Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. What's going on? My name is Mike Mendoza. I'm filling in for Elijah Schaefer today. He will be joining us later on in the day and later on in the week. We should be getting a lot of content to you guys this week. We've been doing a lot of stuff, going to El Salvador, meeting with business partners, friends, interesting people just overall, and talking to them about their stories. And, they're very supportive of what we do here at Gateway. And we're very thankful for that. We're very thankful for everyone who is tuning into this right now. And, like I said, I haven't filled in for a while, so hopefully you guys will stick with me for today's short amended video a bit. But let's just jump straight into it. So Stephen Miller says that there's been a massive scandal that's been uncovered in the DC Police Department with doctoring crime stats as the whistleblower emerges. We have a video that I can show you about that real quick from the Oval Office. If you'll just take it off my screen for 1 second real quick. I'll switch over to that. And this is from a tweet with Benny Johnson. Let's go ahead and see what happened here in the Oval Office.
Say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So just to, first of all, follow up on what the Vice President said, no police officer working in the city can remember a time in their lives when there has been no murders. You can work at the police department for 20 years, 30 years, your whole life. We've checked the records. No one can even find a record of being murder-free for as long as we've been murder-free under President Trump's leadership. Additionally, and the President spoke about this before, we've uncovered, in the process of uncovering, a massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in this city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light. I've had a chance to spend some time, as has everyone here, with the police officers in the city. Members of the public are going up to them and thanking them, just overflowing with gratitude, because for the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. People had changed their whole lives in this city for fear of being murdered, mugged, and carjacked. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs. And the last thing I'll say is that under the efforts of Terry, to my left and many here, what they found also is that the street criminals here in Washington, D.C. were doing business directly with the transnational criminal cartels, the foreign terrorist organizations. So not only was the city being run by these criminal thugs, but they were working with some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on the planet to traffic weapons and drugs into this city. And what we are uncovering every day is shocking to us, and we look forward to sharing all the results with you. But President Trump, your leadership has uncovered some of the great public safety scandals of our life, and now because of you, people are safe and free for the first time ever in this city.
It's really crazy how, the shining city on the hill, as they call it, America, and specifically the capital of our country, Washington, D.C. For those of you who may have not been, there are some beautiful parts of D.C. I'm not so familiar with D.C. I'm not there so much as some of my colleagues might be, but it is a beautiful city in some places downtown. Actually, the first time, not first time I was there, but one of the times I spent more time there was last year when I was there with Elijah, and I was like, man, this is such a beautiful city. But then, you go a couple miles in either direction, and the quality takes a sharp nosedive. So, and that's kind of how it is in most countries, or most cities in the country. I'm from Chicago. It's the same way there, same way in LA. If you go down to Orange County, it's beautiful. But it's just sad to see that America is slowly turning into it's like this pathogen that's spreading. It's spreading from the outskirts of the city and then just slowly creeping in. Speaking of Chicago too, there's an area called River North, which is actually where Trump Tower is, and a lot of people know this for a lot of nightlife clubs, bars, and everything. it's a place that you go to if you're visiting town, or if you're there with friends or whatever. It's really well known, and then now it's like known as one of the more dangerous areas because there's always people, there's always unsavory individuals. I'll just say that, lurking around those parts at night. But it's good that President Trump is finally thinking of a way to crack down this stuff. My next question is, we should be mindful of this no matter who it is, not just with Trump, but it's like, there were a lot of people who were in support of the Patriot Act and around 9/11. Do we have any concerns about the National Guard being turned on people who just aren't friends with the administration in the future? I doubt it, but I mean, it's always one thing to keep in mind. And also we've been spending a lot of time in El Salvador. We saw firsthand how much Bukele cleaned up that country just by having the military mobilized and actually having one common goal. So all around it's good, but just be mindful of the things because everyone thinks it's all hunky dory, and the next day you're getting thrown in the gulag. Who knows? It's not going to happen in America. Obviously not under Trump, but just one thing to keep in mind. But speaking of third world countries, next story is the Mexican senator exposes President Claudia Sheinbaum. That's not a Mexican last name. Claims she works for the cartels and is funded by narco money. It's a story by the one, the only, the great Jim Hoft. Mexican Senator Lily Tellez, a member of the Conservative National Action Party, just blew the lid off the cartel's iron grip on Mexico's government and directly named President Claudia Sheinbaum as part of the corrupt narco political machine. Appearing on Fox and Friends Weekend with Rachel Campos Duffy, Tellez accused Sheinbaum and her leftist ruling Morena party of being bankrolled by cartel money, enabling narco politicians to seize power while ordinary Mexicans suffer under drug-fueled violence and corruption. According to Tellez, cartels are financing candidates, infiltrating government offices, and even dictating national policy. She warned that Mexico is sliding towards the same socialist collapse seen in Venezuela and Cuba, thanks to Sheinbaum's dangerous alliances. And this is straight from Lily Tellez. The party has been financed. The cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office to get power. The Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat them. Also, Sheinbaum doesn't want the rest of the world to know what is happening here in Mexico. We are on the steps to becoming the next Venezuela. She is aligned with Venezuela's dictator and with Cuba, and we are losing our country. They have destroyed our Republican institutions, the democratic state. I think all Mexicans want and welcome the help of the United States to assist the Mexican people against the cartels that have us in this crisis with fentanyl and migrant trafficking. President Sheinbaum tried to defend herself by pointing out that her administration has turned over cartel members and is sharing intelligence with the U.S., but Tellez dismissed this as smoke and mirrors. Rachel Campos Duffy says, so her response, I know this because her spokesperson came on her show after your interview was, well, we just turned over 28 cartel members. We're sharing intelligence. What are they not doing? And why is she so resistant? She speaks out of both sides of her mouth. We're working with you, Trump. And then she chastises you for saying we need more help from the United States to crush the cartels. And again, Lily Tellez says, because she really doesn't want the help of the United States. She is lying to the Mexican people, telling them that the United States will take control of the whole country. I have never heard such nonsense from President Trump. What we have heard is that President Trump wants to help the Mexican people against the cartels. Mexican people are suffering. What they do is very, very little. We have huge narco politicians here in the Senate, the presidency, and the governorships. Mexico is a very dangerous place. By going public, Tellez admitted she is risking her life. She claims Sheinbaum has already threatened to prosecute her criminally to silence her. Rachel Campos Duffy says, you are speaking very bluntly, very clearly about Mexico being a narco state and about the alliance and connections to the president of Mexico. Are you afraid for your life? Lily says, yes, I am afraid. The president has threatened me with criminal prosecution to get me out of the Senate and put me in jail just because I told you here on Fox News the reality of our country with the cartels. The cartels are dominating everything here in Mexico. They're in all levels of government, the states, the cities, and the national government. So of course I'm afraid, but I want people to know I will not step back. I pray under God's guidance that the United States and Mexico must work together to defeat the cartels and win freedom for our country to stop Mexico from becoming the next Venezuela. So basically what's going on here is, we've been hearing about this for a long time, but there is a concerted effort to silence anyone who's against Claudia Sheinbaum. I mean, she kind of just came out of nowhere. She doesn't even seem to be a native of the country, but somehow she ascended to the highest office. And does anyone see this as suspicious? Obviously some people do, and I think it's the right people who are seeing it as suspicious. But I mean, these cartels, they bring in billions of dollars. So can they finance political campaigns? Of course they can. And just in the same way how our government gets financed by foreign governments and also special interests, well, they have a big special interest there too. It's called the cartel. So scary stuff. And I mean, all we can do is pray for that journalist, and hopefully, actually, I shouldn't say hopefully. I'm not sure how I feel about America intervening, but if that helps with the fentanyl crisis in our country, then maybe it'll be well worth it. So before we get back to the show, I want to share something that's been on my mind as both a conservative and someone who's been investing for years. You and I both know that the world's getting more unstable. Whether it's conflicts in the Middle East, tensions with China, or our own government's spending spree, energy security keeps becoming a bigger issue. And here's what I've noticed. Every time there's a crisis, oil prices spike. We saw it with COVID, we saw it with Ukraine, we're seeing it again now. The financial media always tells you the same thing: buy oil company stocks. But here's my problem with that advice. These companies are weighed down by massive debt, environmental lawsuits, and they're constantly under attack from regulators who want them shut down. But my friend Mark Lichtenfeld showed me a different approach. It's a way to profit from America's energy production that's been working quietly for decades, even when oil companies were struggling. This isn't some new cryptocurrency or tech stock. It's actually one of the oldest investment strategies in America, and it's been paying monthly income to smart investors through every presidential administration since the 1960s. Here's what really got my attention. Legendary investor Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, called this his favorite investment. He used this exact strategy to build a substantial income stream that kept growing year after year. And you can get started with less than most people spend on dinner. Look, I can't break down all the details here on the show, but Mark has put together a complete briefing that shows you exactly how this works and why it's particularly relevant right now. If you're tired of watching your portfolio get hammered every time there's bad news, if you want to stop depending on the stock market's emotional ups and downs, or if you just believe America should be more energy independent, you need to see this. Go to ElijahOil.com right now. That's ElijahOil.com. And this isn't about timing the market or picking the next hot stock. This is about positioning yourself to benefit from something America will always need, regardless of who's in Washington or what crisis hits the headlines. Again, that's ElijahOil.com. Check it out. Like I said before, it's some legendary investors who are putting their money, who are putting their stocks behind this. It's not some rug pull. It's not some crypto scheme. It is actually tangible investment advice. Although this is not investment advice, I should say that. Should give that little caveat. But anyway, back to the news. We can go on to the next headline. Cracker Barrel, and I guess they're having some run-ins with the drag queens or something now. But this is from Antonio Graceffo, I believe. Forgive me if I'm butchering that, but he says, "Hey, Cracker Barrel, drag queens don't eat sausage, biscuits, and grits." I actually didn't know that. Getting into the story, there's a portrait of American greatness. I don't know if this is just it's not just like a Southern thing. I don't know if there's Cracker Barrels in all 50 states. I kind of wonder, but where I grew up, they had Cracker Barrels. Down here in Florida, they have them. So it's definitely a staple. But anyways, get to the story. The after-church crowd once flocked to Cracker Barrel for traditional heart-stopping comfort foods like chicken fried steak, which by the way is my favorite. Actually, it's chicken fried steak, served in a setting filled with rustic down-home decor. But Cracker Barrel seems to have forgotten who its customer base was. The company has redesigned its interiors, stripping away much of the nostalgia and replacing it with a brighter, more modern look. The chain also abandoned its iconic 48-year-old logo featuring a man sitting by a barrel, opting instead for a simplified design that contains neither a cracker nor a barrel. Was that a racist epithet? I don't know. Like other companies that turn their backs on their core customers in the name of being woke, Cracker Barrel is learning that alienating longtime patrons doesn't win over new ones. The woke crowd isn't suddenly going to start eating biscuits and gravy at a rebranded Cracker Barrel. Longtime customer Rachel Love, whose viral TikTok sparked the controversy, said the changes stripped the restaurant of its character. Other loyal customers echoed these frustrations online, saying Cracker Barrel now feels like a generic diner, and some vowed not to return unless older locations are preserved. Vietnam veteran Joseph Crawford added, "It takes away from heritage. When you're 81 years old, you kind of remember the way the place started, and this has been taken away from it." So, I want to talk about it a little bit. But I mean, this has been happening with pretty much every restaurant, every fast food place. I don't think it's so much going woke. I think that there may be some aspect of that, but I think what is, because actually, by trade, I'm actually a graphic designer. That's kind of how I got started off. I started doing design for people in the conservative space, and then now I'm here. As a designer, there's been a big push for more minimalistic design. So I think they just saw that Cracker Barrel logo as being outdated, which it kind of is. But I mean, it has got to a point. Like, I mean, you could even say that the Coca-Cola logo is outdated. It's definitely from a different era. And same thing with the Cracker Barrel logo. I think there probably is some aspect of it that they're like, oh, there's like a white guy on it or whatever, so we have to take it off. Maybe there's something to that, but I mean, all in all, I'm more disappointed in every fast food place looking the exact same. I mean, every Pizza Hut, every Wendy's, McDonald's. I mean, it's all the exact same architecture. I've said for a long time that the first person who opens up or reverts their franchise to the old style, which I think you're technically not allowed to if you're a franchisee, like you have to follow the rules that's coming down from corporate. But the first person who puts a sunroom back in Wendy's is going to have pilgrimages from around the country. The first person to put the red cups at Pizza Hut, or the play place at McDonald's, or the Saved by the Bell decor at Taco Bell, yeah, they're gonna have pilgrimages from around the country. I think in the Bay Area near Cupertino, I was out there once back in 2018. They had an old school Taco Bell there, and maybe that was before the great modernization, as you might call it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's so much as or I don't know if it's as much them going woke. I think that is part of it, but I think it's just like they're just trying to up the design, but it's not working. I mean, some things, especially something like Cracker Barrel should retain its character, because that's a lot of the appeal. I haven't been to a TGIF in probably over a decade, but I would hope if I go in that the servers are wearing all the pins and they have a bunch of weird stuff on the walls, because that's what you expect, but I don't know. I mean, I think there is a tasteful way to do it, but this just wasn't it. But anyway, thanks for joining us today at Gateway Pundit. Sorry that we've been kind of out of the loop recently, but we're going to try and make it up to you guys this week. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff coming down the wire right now, so I'm sure that we'll have plenty to talk about. I did want to let you guys know to go to, I think it's gateway.com. Could you bring up the lower third for the mug club, for the mug club? I want you to remember to join the mug club. It's thegatewaypundit.com/join. And not only are you supporting Gateway Pundit, but some people do this mug club thing and they probably go on Temu, they probably go on Alibaba, and they get the cheapest mug they possibly can. This is a high quality mug, and I'm not just saying that. It's very heavy. There's a lot of weight to it. Don't chuck this at someone's head, because you might do some serious damage. But it is a very good mug, and like I said before, you are also supporting some of the people who have been in this fight for a long time, specifically Jim Hoft, whose article I read earlier. But so you get a great mug, and then you're also supporting great people. But anyway, with that said, my name is Mike Mendoza, and I want to thank you guys for joining me with another episode of Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. Like I said, Elijah will be back. But for now, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.